You think about the Roman Empire. Be honest. You do marble columns, gladiators, men with jawlines carved from stone, saying nothing, feeling everything, going to the gym. The most Sigma civilization that ever existed. Discipline, honor, abs. Yeah, about that. Because if you actually woke up tomorrow in the Roman Empire you keep daydreaming about, you would be dead by Thursday. This is what living in Rome was actually like. And it was not Sigma. It was barely survivable. Let's do this properly. You're not a senator, you're not Caesar. Statistically, you're a poor guy named something like Gaius, and you live where almost everyone lived, an insula. An insula was a Roman apartment building, and calling it an apartment is doing a lot of heavy lifting. You live on the top floor. That sounds like a penthouse. It is the opposite of a penthouse. The rich lived on the bottom, ground floor, big rooms, running water. The higher you climbed, the smaller, darker, and more flammable it got. You're at the top, so you get the flammable one. These buildings were thrown up fast, cheap, and tall to cram in as many people as possible. They collapsed, regularly, on people. And fire? Rome burned so often that a man named Crassus built a private fire brigade. Here's the Sigma part. He'd show up to your burning building and refuse to put it out until you sold it to him. Cheap. While it was on fire. That's not a supervillain. That's just how you did business. Congratulations on your new home, Gaius. Hope it survives the night. Okay, morning. Time for that legendary Sigma morning routine. Cold plunge, black coffee, seize the day. Except, no coffee. Coffee doesn't reach Europe for another 1,000 years. Your breakfast is bread. Maybe dipped in a little wine, if you're fancy. Or leftover pousse, a gray wheat porridge that is exactly as exciting as it sounds. Most Romans ate grain. Bread, porridge, more bread. Meat was a luxury you mostly smelled coming from someone else's house. And the flavor of the empire, the thing they put on everything, was garum. Garum is fish sauce, made by taking fish guts, packing them in salt, and letting them rot in the sun for months. And to be fair, it was delicious. Pure umami. The Romans were obsessed with it. But let's just sit with the fact that the most Sigma empire in history ran on liquid fermented fish intestines. On everything. Ketchup made of guts. So, breakfast is done. Time to head to work. Quick question. What work? There's a genuinely decent chance you don't have a job. Rome had so many unemployed citizens that the emperors just paid everyone off. Free grain. For over 200,000 people. Welcome to the breadline, Gaius. It wraps around the block. And to make sure a city full of bored, hungry, slightly lead-poisoned men didn't burn everything down, again, the emperors threw in free entertainment. The games. The Colosseum. That's the famous bread and circuses. It's not a metaphor. It was literally the imperial strategy. Carbs and violence. Free food, free shows. Honestly, kind of slaps. Until you remember the show is two guys with swords, and one of them isn't going home. Anyway, all that free bread has to go somewhere. Oh no. Now, here's where everyone defends Rome. But the plumbing, the aqueducts, the sewers, they were so advanced. And yeah, they kind of were. The engineering was real. They had public toilets, long stone benches with holes cut in a row, running water underneath. Very impressive. Very public. No stalls, no doors. You sat shoulder to shoulder with strangers and made conversation. Networking. But that's not the part they left out of your textbook. In front of the bench ran a little channel of water, and in that channel sat a sponge, on a stick. The xylospongium. That was the toilet paper. One sponge, on a stick. Shared. By everyone. You used it, and you passed it to the next guy. Yeah, your history teacher showed you the aqueducts and conveniently skipped the group sponge. Y'all got the highlight reel. And all that famous plumbing? Studies of Roman-era remains suggest it barely made them healthier. Intestinal parasites, lice, and fleas didn't really decline under Rome. Turns out, shared baths that rarely change the water and fertilizing crops with human waste cancels out a lot of nice aqueducts. Let's get a drink. You're thirsty. And the Romans love their wine. Watered down, sweetened, all day long. Very civilized. Here's the problem. To sweeten wine and food, Romans boiled down grape juice into a thick syrup called sapa, and they boiled it in lead pots. Boiling grape juice in lead creates lead acetate, which tastes sweet. They literally called it sugar of lead. They didn't know it was poison, they just knew it made everything taste better. So they put it in everything. Sweet wine, sauces, preserved fruit. Add in lead pipes, lead cups, lead cosmetics, and you've got a slow, daily, delicious dose of heavy metal poisoning. So picture it. Your Sigma Roman ancestors' pre-workout was a warm cup of sweet lead wine. Now, historians argue about how much lead actually hurt them. It probably didn't cause the fall of Rome like the myth says, but chronic lead exposure? Bad for your brain, your gut, your fertility. Not the flex the marble statues implied. Here's the part the aesthetic edits never show you. There were no antibiotics, no germ theory, nobody knew why people got sick. A cut on your hand could kill you. A fever could kill you. Childbirth killed women constantly, and your children. Roughly a third, by some estimates closer to half, of Roman children did not live to the age of 10. Read that again. If you were a Roman parent, you did not expect all your children to survive. You buried some of them. It was normal. That was the deal. And then, sometimes, the sky fell in. Around 165 AD, a plague, likely smallpox, swept the empire. At its peak, it may have killed thousands of people a day in the city of Rome alone, millions across the empire. Nobody knew what it was, or how to stop it. No grind set fixes that. No cold plunge, no mindset. You just endured it, or you didn't. Here's the twist. Rome was genuinely, jaw-droppingly impressive. Just not the part the memes love. The real flex wasn't abs. It was aqueducts that carried water across dozens of miles on a slope of a few inches. Concrete that set underwater and still stands 2,000 years later. A dome, the Pantheon, that stayed the largest of its kind for over 1,000 years. Roads you can still walk today. That's not Sigma grind set, that's the opposite. It's thousands of ordinary people doing boring, disciplined, collective work. Drainage, logistics, law, engineering, for 100 years at a time. Nobody's ripped in that story. It's better than ripped. And the Stoicism? Real Stoicism wasn't show no emotion, hit the gym. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, who was born a slave, they built a philosophy for exactly the world we just walked through. How do you keep going when half your kids die? When you can't control the plague, the lead, the fire, the fall? Stoicism was survival software for people living the least Sigma life imaginable. So no, living in the Roman Empire was not Sigma. It was frightening, filthy, and short. But they took that short, brutal life and built roads, domes, and ideas designed to outlast them by 2,000 years. And it worked. You're still thinking about them. Maybe now you'll think about the right part. The Roman Empire lives rent-free in your head. Now, at least it's paying rent with the truth. So, which glorious daydream should we ruin next? The noble medieval knight? Trust me, that one's worse. Tell me in the comments. If you'd survived a Thursday in Rome, subscribe. If you wouldn't, subscribe anyway. We're all in this together. This has been History, I Guess.